7 bone-chilling accounts of horrible fates that will haunt you forever. The old town of Willow Creek had a sinister reputation that hung like a dark cloud over its cobbled streets. Whispers danced through the air, weaving tales of twisted fates and unnerving disappearances. Locals avoided certain places after sundown, as if a heavy, invisible barrier forbade them from crossing over. The stories of the 7 haunted souls teased the imagination, tickling the spine with their horror. Each fate, a dark thread woven into the town's fabric, begged for the light, yet remained cloaked in darkness. In the soft twilight, shadows crept along the walls, stretching like fingers reaching to grasp their next victim. A little boy named Tommy had vanished there decades ago, his laughter swallowed by the unforgiving night. Despite months of searching, his tiny voice never echoed through the trees again. People claimed on stormy nights, you could still hear the faint sound of his laughter, or was it just the wind playing tricks? The very air felt heavy with unshed tears. A mourning continued to haunt the dilapidated playground. Then there was the tale of Lydia, the baker's daughter, whose ill-fated meeting in the woods had given rise to whispers in every mailbox. The townsfolk claimed she was lured away by a soft voice singing sweetly, only to disappear like sugar in water, leaving no trace behind but a single pigtail ribbon fluttering in the breeze. Perhaps she wandered too far, or worse, met something dark and dreadful. Residents still felt her icy stare if they ventured too near, a phantom reminder to stay away or suffer the same fate. Mystery enveloped the crumbling mansion at the end of Hollow Lane like a shroud, where the late Mr. Roth had perished under dubious circumstances. Some swore they saw his ghost wandering through the nearby graveyard, a bone-white specter forever searching for the truth. His eyes, orbs of loss, seemed to bore into the very souls of anyone unfortunate enough to cross his path. The neighborhood kids dared each other to touch the rusted gate, claiming a chill would spike down their spines if they lingered too long. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But the most chilling account of all was the last, where no name resided, only the haunting echo of tragedy. A family of 5 was reported missing after plotting a camping trip deep in the woods. None returned, and search crews found open cans and burnt-out campfires, yet no sign of the family ever surfaced. People speculated that the woods themselves had swallowed them whole, that the trees still murmured their names, a sinister tribute to their untimely end. The stories wrapped around Willow Creek like a second skin. People heard different versions, but one thing was constant: the fear lingered thick in the air. As night fell, the crunch of leaves beneath hesitant footsteps echoed loudly against the silence, and the dark swallowed anything resembling safety. What lurked within that darkness? It beckoned, a siren call to those drawn to the unknown. Their fate still awaited a telling, their restless spirits lingering, pleading to be heard. The night deepened, an all-consuming abyss that swallowed the last remnants of daylight. Willow Creek sat shrouded in silence, but within that stillness, something stirred. A chill blustered through the streets, causing flickering light bulbs to hum and sputter as if they too were afraid of the shadows lengthening around them. At the edge of town, a group of teenagers huddled together beneath the old oak that stood like a sentinel, its gnarled branches stretching toward the sky like pleading hands. They gathered for a night of ghost stories, fueled by youthful bravado and perhaps a few too many sodas. Amelia, the bravest among them, leaned forward, eyes sparkling with mischief. "Okay, who's heard about the family that disappeared in the woods?" she asked, a sly grin spreading across her face. The others leaned in closer, breaths held in anticipation. Nate scoffed. "Yeah, heard that one 100 times. Just a bunch of creepy tales to scare kids away from the woods." "But what if it's true?" Amelia pressed. Her voice dropped to a whisper, Some say that if you go deep enough, you can find their campfire still burning, their laughter echoing between the trees. The wind howled, flinging leaves against their arms like urgent whispers. Fear prickled like tiny needles down their spines as the boys shifted nervously, glancing around. "It's just a stupid story," Nate muttered, though his eyes darted nervously to the shadows. Suddenly, the air crackled with tension. A high-pitched giggle sliced through the night. It wasn't the laughter of their group. It was light, airy, and chilling, echoing hauntingly around them. The teens froze, hearts pounding. That giggle, it sparked a memory, a half-remembered tale of a little girl who played in those very woods long ago. "It can't be," Emma breathed, her eyes wide. "That's Tommy, isn't it?" A flicker of movement just beyond the tree line caught their attention. Before anyone could speak, Amelia seized Nate's arm. Her grip was tight, unyielding like the fear swelling around them. "We should check it out, right?" Nate shook his head, words failing him as curiosity wrestled with terror. They all stared back into the inky darkness, a magnetic pull beckoning them forward. Finally, it was Emma who broke the spell. "Don't you want to know what really happened?" The mist began to swirl, pushing its way between them. Each breath became a struggle as fog thickened around their feet. At that moment, something unspoken passed among them, the type of camaraderie that draws the naive toward danger. Dropping their guard, they stepped into the dark, emboldened by the thought of being the ones to unveil the town's oldest secrets. Silence enveloped them as they entered the trees, each step echoed by heartbeat after heartbeat. The rustling was not merely the breeze, it felt alive, as if something was watching. They ventured deeper, where branches consumed what little light remained, whispers looming heavy in the air. Then they stumbled onto a clearing, the old campsite laid out like a time capsule. Burnt remnants of a fire stood stark against the grass, the ghosts of laughter eerily palpable. The shadows danced around them as the giggle returned, rising and falling as if taunting them. Panic gripped Nate, his eyes darting in all directions. "We should go back now." But it was too late. The overwhelming chill snaked around them. From the shadows, an outline emerged, small and slight, the figure of a child. Bright eyes glinted like stars in the darkness as the spectral form beckoned them with a crooked finger, promising secrets and fates untold. Was this Tommy? Or something far more malevolent? Their fate stood at a precipice, waiting to unfold. "Stay back!" Amelia shouted, her voice cracking. But it was no use. Whatever lived in the woods was hungry for fear, and they were its next meal. What choice would they make? Would they flee or follow? The looming shadows awaited their decision, ready to seal their fate. The air was electric with fear as the figure stepped closer, revealing a disheveled, ghostly girl dressed in faded clothes. Her hair hung in tangled strands around her face, obscuring her small features. The light from the dying campfire flickered over her, casting ghastly shadows that seemed to stretch and twist unnaturally. "Tommy?" The unspoken question hung in the air, heavier than the fog wrapping around their ankles. Amelia felt her breath hitch, a lump forming in her throat. Who are you?" she stammered, confusion mingling with dread. The child's eyes locked onto hers, vivid and ghostly, yet there was a depth that felt timeless, as if she carried the weight of every lost moment within her. The girl opened her mouth, but no words emerged. Instead, another chilling giggle slipped through her lips, a sound filled with something sad and sinister. Emma grabbed Amelia's arm, her grip trembling. "This is insane. We have to leave." But a part of Amelia whispered that they needed answers. There was something about that ghostly little girl that called to the hidden places in her heart. "Wait," she said, taking a step forward, the fear in her eyes morphing into determination. "Did something happen to you?" Just as Amelia pleaded, shadows shifted, swirling dangerously. The air felt charged, pregnant with ominous energy, as Nate shouted, "Run!" But they didn't. Instead, they stood frozen, torn between childhood fear and an irresistible curiosity. The girl flitted backward, beckoning them with an innocent motion. Each step she took felt deliberate, pulling them deeper into the treachery of the woods. "What do you want?" Nate finally yelled, the bravado in his voice wavering. The spectral figure paused, tilting her head. It was as though she was judging the essence of their spirits. The temperature plummeted, and their breath formed ghostly clouds in the air. An echo of laughter, the kind that should have been joyful, resounded, bubbling up from the depths around them, as if the woods themselves were alive with decades of forgotten revelries. Suddenly, a distant sound pierced through the static air, a shrill wail, like that of a wild animal caught in a trap. The girl turned sharp, the contours of her face darkening. The shadows seemed to tighten around them, whispering threats of long-lost souls. Panic washed over Nate, his legs trembling. "We shouldn't be here. We need to go." But the girl raised a tiny hand, and for a moment, her expression softened. "Stay." It was not just a command, it was an invitation. "What if we follow?" Amelia whispered, the thrill of danger igniting a dark burn in her chest. "What if she knows what happened to the family?" Nate's eyes widened in horror. "You can't be serious. This is insane. We're talking about spirits, about something that's not right. We could end up like them." But Emma, her voice trembling, asked, "What if we could end this, whatever it is?" An unsteady chorus of agreement followed her words, fear competing with curiosity. The ghastly girl turned and slowly began to melt back into the shadows, her form wavering. Time stood still as they wrestled with their decision. Follow her into the unknown or run from the answers that could unveil truths buried beneath decades of town legends. Then, with a sudden rush of adrenaline, Amelia took a step forward, her heart racing. "I'm going after her. I need to know." The remaining teens exchanged frantic glances, the weight of the moment crashing down like an impending storm. But before anyone could react, an unnatural force surged around them, pulling Amelia further into the darkness, a loud crack echoing as the branches snapped in fury. Nate shouted her name as he lunged forward, but the shadows swirled like a torrent, swallowing her up. "No!" In that instant, a deep, echoing voice filled the clearing, a whisper that pierced through the chaos. "Will you forsake the light of truth?" Nate and Emma stood, rooted in fear and desperation. What darkness awaited them if they chased after Amelia? What price would they pay for the secrets hidden beneath the trees? As the echoes faded, the looming darkness teased them, daring them to unravel the mystery or abandon their friend to the mercy of the woods. What would they choose? The choice to discover the terrible truth awaited. Nate's heart raced, pounding in his chest like a war drum. The girl had vanished into the thick cloak of shadows, and Amelia was gone with her, swallowed whole by the forest's insatiable darkness. He could still hear her voice in his mind, whispering a haunting invitation. "Stay." It echoed like a soft, eerie lullaby, tugging painfully at his courage and loyalty. "Amelia!" he shouted, his voice cracking. Every syllable bounced back ominously, swallowed by the oppressive stillness. Emma stood next to him, her face pale, teeth biting into her lip, terror flickering in her eyes. "We can't just stand here," Emma insisted, trembling. "We have to do something." Nate looked into the endless shadows filled with mystery and dread. He could feel them pushing against him, taunting him with sudden silences that felt like hands gripping his throat. "But what if we're making it worse? What if we lose her forever?" "We can't lose her," Emma cried out, desperation rising like smoke in her throat. "We should have followed her. Now we need to find a way to get her back." The woods around them grew even darker, as if the trees were closing in, suffocating them in their gnarl and gloom. Each rustle sounded like a warning. A chill slid down Nate's spine, chilling him to the core. He glanced at Emma, the imprint of fear etched into her features. "Let us go," he finally said, forcing a sense of resolve into his voice that he didn't feel. "We have to get her back." They stepped into the dark undergrowth, hearts pounding in unison. The world turned cold, a bone-deep chill seeping into their skin. The girl's laughter reverberated through the trees, a taunting echo that twisted in the air. "Did you hear that?" Emma whispered, her breath shaky. Nate nodded, determination hardening his resolve. "We have to hurry." As they moved deeper into the shadows, reality faded. The moonlight barely penetrated the canopy, and the forest soon became a labyrinth of twisted branches and muffled screams. Every snap of a twig sounded like a gunshot in the silence, and fear clawed at Nate's throat, threatening to strangle him. Then, something rustled in the distance. Nate turned sharply, holding his breath, heart racing. A figure, a shadow, flickered between the trees, darting like a swift gust of wind. Amelia? He strained his ears, trying to listen through the deafening silence, but a strange melody began to weave through the darkness. "Help, help me!" It was Amelia's voice, soft yet desperate, reverberating through the air. "Amelia!" Nate called, panic mixing with the burning at the back of his throat. "Where are you?" Emma shouted, her voice filled with urgency as they sprinted towards the sound. But it seemed to slip away, the shadows swallowing her words as darkness twisted and warped around them. The melody transformed into whispers, a chorus of fragmented syllables blending with the leaves. Nate's mind raced, choking with possibilities, envisioning horrors that lay just beyond their sight. What if they weren't alone? What if the spirits were watching? Suddenly, a branch snapped close by. Nate spun around, gripping Emma's wrist tightly. "Did you hear that?" "It's just the wind," she said, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. "Not that sound like a voice." He gasped, straining to hear through the cacophony of fear. Panic tightened around them, wrapping its icy fingers around their necks as they ventured deeper into the darkness. Then, out of the corner of his eye, Nate saw a faint glow in the distance. Hope ignited, a flicker in the vast sea of despair. "Over there!" he yelled, pulling Emma toward it with renewed vigor. But as they pushed through the thickened woods towards the light, the air crackled as a deep laughter erupted around them, sinister and playful, filling their surroundings with a tangible dread. What is happening?" Emma stammered, her grip tightening on Nate's arm. "Keep moving," he urged, heart racing as the laughter rang louder, drowning out their senses. His breath caught as he realized the eerie chorus wasn't just laughter, it was a warning the forests were alive with wrongness. And then it hit him, a chilling realization. What if they weren't meant to find Amelia? What if they were destined to become part of the tragedy that unfolded in these cursed woods? The light grew brighter as they stumbled closer, bubbling dread battling against their desperate hope. But with every heartbeat, the shadows seemed to pulse, pressing in around them, whispering secrets that threatened to drag them under. Just as they reached the edge of the light, a deep, familiar voice echoed through the air, one they had hoped not to hear. "Will you forsake the light of truth again?" Nate froze, uncertainty swirling in his stomach like a storm. Had they wandered into another trap laid by the spirits? And what price would they pay if they chose to continue? As the light flickered, illuminating the haunting silhouettes of their fears, they realized the choice lay before them once more. In the depths of the unknown, could they truly find the truth without losing themselves? A terrible decision loomed, but who would take the first step into the blinding light? Nate's breath quickened, a tight knot forming in his chest as he processed the voice, the familiarity sending shivers down his spine. It was a voice laden with regret, a ghostly echo from the past that stirred memories he'd rather forget. "Who are you?" Nate shouted into the light, desperation creeping into his voice. "What do you want from us?" The glowing sphere pulsated, responding to his fear with vibrating waves of warmth and dread, intertwining like a taunting melody. Emma squeezed his arm, her eyes wide with horror. "Nate, we shouldn't be here. This isn't right. We need to turn back." But turning back wasn't an option. Every second spent in this nightmare felt like a betrayal to Amelia. "We can't. We have to find her. We owe it to her," he insisted, pulling Emma forward, even as every shadowed corner yelled for them to retreat. As they advanced, the laughter morphed into something more sinister, an echoing cacophony that surrounded them, every joyous note laced with mockery. The trees seemed to lean closer, their twisted branches resembling clawed hands reaching out from the abyss to snatch them back. "Help me!" Amelia's voice floated again, the ethereal sound blending seamlessly with the wailing winds, luring Nate like a siren's call. The light flickered anxiously ahead, promising both salvation and doom. Emma suddenly yanked on Nate's arm. "Nate, look!" He turned to see figures emerging from the shadows, pale and flickering like distant memories. Their faces were distorted, twisted into expressions of eternal sorrow and rage. "Turn back," one of them hissed, the sound slithering like a snake through the air. "This path leads only to despair." Nate stumbled backward, shock stealing his voice. "What do you mean? Is Amelia here?" The specters merely stared, their silence heavy. Then, the voice of the unknown deepened, "You linger where the light cannot reach. Searching for her will only ensnare you into our grief." "What grief?" Nate shouted, anger flaring in defiance of the despair threatening to swallow them whole. "The grief of those lost, like you," the specter replied, a smirk dancing across its lips. "You think you can save her? She may never wish to return." Emma gripped Nate's wrist, her eyes locking onto his. "Maybe we should listen to them. If they're warning us, no." He cut her off. "We have to push forward, Emma. We can't assume Amelia is one of them." A shudder coursed through him, a whisper from the dark corners of his mind that maybe they were right. What if Amelia had chosen this darkness? What if they weren't meant to bring her back? "Help me!" The sweet, desperate strain of Amelia's voice reverberated once more, this time more urgent than before. It lured him, pulling him deeper into the light. Nate took a step forward, driven by an irrational hope. "I'm coming for you, Amelia." But for every step toward the illumination, the shadows danced with glee, closing in tighter like a noose around their necks. The laughter grew unbearable, vibrating in his bones. Doubt crawled back into his mind. "Nate!" Emma shouted, her face paling as more figures emerged, swallowing the faint light. "We can't, this is wrong." Ignoring her, he pressed on, the light becoming a beacon guiding him towards something deceptively bright in a sea of darkness. The shadows roared in anger, clashing against his every instinct. The air shimmered, the ground trembled, something vicious lay just beyond the veil. As he reached the edge of the light, a grip like iron caught his shoulder, yanking him backward just as the brightness offered a breathtaking clarity. "Will you forsake the light of truth again?" The deep voice boomed, sending panic crashing like waves through Nate. Behind him, Emma's gasp echoed, her horror palpable. "Nate! Please!" Nate's heart raced. Would he dare look back? If he did, what terrible thing would he discover? The haunting echoes of lost souls surrounded him, a dire warning would resonate deep in his soul. Was it too late to turn back now? A darkness loomed before him, and every part of him screamed to turn away. Yet something so compelling, so fundamentally human was urging him to press forward. As the malevolent whispers grew louder, drowning out reason, Nate faced the imminent dread. Would he step into the blinding light, risking everything for Amelia's sake, or would he be swallowed by the past? In that moment of uncertainty, Nate felt an unspeakable choice hanging in the balance. Could love light the way through such profound darkness, or would they all be lost, forever chasing after ghosts? Nate felt the insistent pull of the light but also the icy grip of despair threatening to keep him entangled in the forest's paranormal embrace. And then, a chilling voice rumbled, echoing through the trees, taunting him with the weight of truth. What is the price of hope? The question lingered heavy in the air. Nate felt his mind twist, each heartbeat a pound of dread against his ribs. The light flickered ahead, mocking his hesitation, as if it could sense his doubt. He glanced back at Emma, her wide eyes reflecting terror. "Nate, please don't. We have to go." But where? Back to the darkness? A shiver shot down his spine at the thought. What will it take to save her? He cried out, scanning the shadowy figures circling them. The specters swayed, their hollow eyes boring into his soul. What does it mean to forsake the truth? The lead specter stepped forward, its face blurring like a forgotten photograph. The truth demands sacrifice. You must be willing to pay the price. Stop. Emma's voice cracked raw, desperate. This isn't real. We need to leave. Nate turned, the tug of Amelia's voice reverberating in his mind. But what if it is? What if she's really here? The shadows intensified, shrouding Emma's form as she faded under their weight. Panic roared in Nate's chest. Emma! Stay with me. You're losing yourself. She shouted, her voice slicing through the darkness. This is a trap. Don't. But the voices shifted, whispering sweet venom into his ear. Join us, Nate. Remember the warmth of surrender. With a tremor, Nate stepped closer to the light, compelled by fear and longing. The warmth wrapped around him, promising to ease the ache of his heart. He could almost see her Amelia's familiar, radiant smile illuminating his vision. If you come to us, you will never feel pain again, another specter cooed, its voice chillingly seductive. Is that what you want? Nate shouted into the void. To hide away in this darkness? Suddenly, the laughter faded, replaced by an unbearable silence, heavy and suffocating. What is it you truly seek? A different voice, deeper and cold, snaked into his mind like liquid ice. Do you wish to save her, or do you seek solace in your own grief? Nate's breath hitched. Those words punctured the wall he had built around his heart, exposing the anguish hidden beneath. Was he chasing Amelia or the ache of loss? The line blurred as he felt icy fingers clawing at his resolve. Emma stepped beside him, her fear shifting to fury. We won't let despair define us. She stormed forward, challenging the mirage of peace that threatened to ensnare them both. Amelia needs us, let her go. The specters recoiled, their faces morphing into twisted expressions of anguish. You resist the truth, girl. With every moment wasted, she slips deeper. No. Nate shouted, feeling the weight of their words. We're coming for her. She's not alone. He reached for Emma, grasping her wrist, but the shadows tightened, wrapping around them like chains forged in dread. They pulled him back, tugging him toward the abyss, toward the growing darkness that dripped with despair. Once you've descended into grief, it is impossible to return, the lead specter warned, its voice a haunting echo of broken promises. Nate! Emma screamed, her eyes wild. We have to fight. Determination surged through him. Was it worth it? Could love pierce through such a wretched night? Suddenly, the light flickered, and for a heartbeat, Nate thought he saw her Amelia, standing beyond the chaos, reaching for him with a hand of hope. Amelia! He cried, taking a step forward, only to feel the shadows slam back against him, igniting his fear. No! Emma shouted, pulling him back, her resolve juxtaposed against the haunting scene. You can't give in. Don't let them win. Nate squirmed, caught between the pull of despair and the lure of that fleeting hope. What would he sacrifice? What pieces of himself did he have left to lose? With the encroaching darkness roaring like a tempest, Nate faced the chilling truth. What if saving her means losing myself? The specters were closing in, their eyes glinting with dark anticipation. Nate's breath quickened, a decision loomed, heavy and stark in the air. Would he chase the light and risk everything, or succumb to the shadows and find solace among them, and what, he wondered, stood waiting for him on the other side of that light? The moment hung like a fragile thread. Pulled taut, ready to snap at any moment. The shadows surged around Nate and Emma like a flood, pushing them toward the edge of despair. Nate felt his heart hammer in his chest, a duet of fear and determination. Emma gripped his arm tighter, as if she could anchor him before he slipped away into the void. "Hold on to me," she gasped, her breath ragged. "We can't let them pull us apart." He nodded, desperation igniting a fire within him, and then a flicker of realization sparkled through his mind. "The truth, it's not just for us," he whispered, grasping the fragments of his thoughts. "Amelia. If we don't save her, we're lost too." Emma's eyes widened. "We need to show them we're not afraid. We're here for her." With a collective rally of heartbeats, they steeled themselves against the encroaching dark. As Nate surged forward, he felt his feet break free of the shadows, if only for a moment. The light ahead pulsed, calling to him with an urgency that felt alive, almost breathing. "Amelia!" He cried out, a fierce battle cry that shot through the oppressive silence. The specters halted, their forms swaying as if caught in an invisible breeze. "Stop!" The deeper voice crackled through the throng, resonating like thunder. "You stray from the path of your truth. To seek her is to lose everything." Nate clenched his jaw, fighting against the chill creeping into his bones. "Then I'll lose everything. I'll give it all for her." The words unleashed a wave of energy, a pulse that propelled Emma and Nate toward the heart of the light. The specters hissed, a shrill sound that echoed through the blackness, sending a shiver along Nate's spine. Without thinking, he pulled Emma toward the intensity of the light. Its brightness felt like home, the warmth wrapped around him like a familiar embrace. "We can do this together," he shouted, the edge to his voice pushing aside the fear that threatened to devour him whole. They charged forward, crashing into the light, and Nate's heart raced with hope. But the shadows roared, reaching for them in furious desperation. With every step, the specters clawed at their ankles, trying to pull them back into the despair that lay behind. Then something unexpected happened. Amelia's voice cut through the chaos, clear and strong. "Nate! Emma! Don't give in." Nate halted. It was real. He could feel her, the sensation flowing through him like a sweet balm. "Amelia!" he called, desperation lacing his tone. "We have to face the truth," she urged. "It's the only way to break free." He remembered the specter's words, the sacrifice they demanded, and the burden of grief weighing down on him. What more could they take? The shadows around them writhed, sensing his unwillingness to yield, and lashed out with fury. "You will regret this choice," the lead specter bellowed, as it lunged forward, its blurry face contorting with rage. "No!" Emma yelled, stepping in front of Nate, fiercely protective. "You'll regret underestimating us." They stood united, the warmth of their shared resolve forming an impenetrable shield against the darkness. Together, they focused on Amelia's light, visualizing the warmth that radiated from her spirit. In that moment, the specters hesitated. "You have yet to understand," another voice crooned, shivering with malice. "All truths come with cost." But Nate interrupted, the words spilling out of him with urgency. "This cost? It's worth it. Love demands sacrifice. We are willing." The shadows trembled, uncertainty flickering among them. Nate tightened his grip on Emma's hand. They couldn't look back. The light was blinding now, beckoning them closer as the specters recoiled, revealing flickers of fear in their ghastly forms. Then, with a sudden surge, the light erupted, washing over them, flooding the darkness with a searing brilliance that stilled the chaos. A ragged breath caught in Nate's throat as he stepped into the luminescent glow, propelled by love, hope, and a fierce determination to save Amelia. And then he froze. Before him lay a door, a heavy, wooden portal, ancient and broken, hovering in the light. Light flickered through the cracks, the air humming with promise. What's on the other side? Nate breathed, dread clawing at his throat. Emma stepped forward, squeezing his hand again. "Whatever happens next, we face it together." But as they moved to push the door open, an eerie whisper echoed through the air. "Choices lead to consequences. Are you prepared for the truth?" Nate and Emma shared a look, understanding dawning. Would they emerge as champions of light, or succumb to the shadows lurking on the other side? With trembling fingers, Nate grasped the handle, heart racing, on the brink of a reality that could shatter everything. As Nate's fingers brushed the worn wood of the door, a chill skittered down his spine. The air around them thickened, swirling with unspoken fears and truths waiting to be unearthed. He hesitated, caught between the pulse of light and the suffocating darkness that promised to swallow him whole. Emma leaned closer, her breath fanning against his cheek. "We can't turn back now," she whispered, confidence shining through her own fear. "Amelia needs us." With one mighty push, Nate turned the handle, and the door creaked open. A blinding white light exploded outward, and he stumbled forward, Emma's hand never leaving his. They stepped inside, the threshold closing behind them with a heavy finality. The world beyond the door was unlike anything they had ever seen. A vast landscape stretched out, painted in sharp contrasts of glorious light and swirling shadows. This was not the afterlife Nate had expected. Instead, it was a realm teetering on the edge of existence itself, a bittersweet mingling of hope and despair. Before them lay a path, shimmering like liquid glass, weaving through towering structures that loomed like silent sentinels. The buildings seemed alive, pulsating with energy, their surfaces reflecting fragments of memories, moments of joy, and poignant losses. Each step they took echoed through the air like a heartbeat, loud and resounding. "Where do we go?" Emma asked, bewilderment knitting her brow. Nate scanned the expanse, anxiety curling in his chest. "We have to find her. Amelia has to be here somewhere." He clenched his fists, feeling the weight of their choices pressing down. Every decision brought them closer to either salvation or ruin. Suddenly, a figure emerged from within the shadows. It was Amelia, but she looked different. Ethereal, almost like a shimmering illusion floating just out of reach. Her eyes held a deep well of sadness, yet sparkled with an undeniable hope. "Nate! Emma!" she called, her voice a haunting melody made of light. "You came for me." A mixture of relief and dread flooded Nate's heart. "We're here. We won't let you go," he shouted back, springing forward. But as he did, the shadows around them twisted violently, the once tranquil environment warping into something sinister. "Amelia!" Emma's scream cut through the chaos, icy fingers of terror wrapping around her heart. She grasped Nate's arm, eyes wide with fear. "What are they doing?" Nate's mind was racing. The specters from before, the cruel shadows they fought against, were materializing again, their forms shifting and swirling like smoke. "It's a trick. They want to keep her." "Foolish children," one of the figures hissed, its voice a rasp that felt like fingernails on glass. "What you seek will only drag you deeper into despair. The truth is not a light, it is a nightmare." Nate felt his gut churn. "We've faced worse. We can't let you take her." The ground trembled beneath their feet, the path fracturing. He pulled Emma closer, stealing strength from her presence. "No matter what happens, we don't stop fighting." With a fierce resolve, they moved forward together, eyes locked on Amelia's shimmering form. Shadows lashed out like punishment, grasping at them, cold and relentless. Nate could feel them tugging at the edges of his mind, whispering doubts and fears, promising that he would fail, but he wouldn't, trusting the bond they shared. Nate and Emma charged ahead, dodging the twisting tendrils that sought to ensnare them. Just as they reached Amelia, the shadows surged with a deafening roar, rising like a tidal wave. "Your choice is made," the lead specter bellowed. "But every truth demands a price." Nate's heart plummeted. What do we have to lose? But as Amelia reached out, the ground split beneath them. An abyss opened wide, dark and yawning, a no-man's land of despair. Everything. The shadows screamed as they collapsed around the trio. Nate felt a grip on his soul tightening. Was it too late? As the darkness began to pull them into the void, he had only one thought: would they face the ultimate revelation, or be lost eternally in the shadows? Amelia's voice echoed through the chaos, "You must choose. The light or the truth." Heart pounding, Nate reached out for Emma's hand, just as the darkness threatened to engulf them completely. What awaited on the other side? He had to risk it all. The last whisper of hope fell between them as they plunged into the abyss, faces set towards the unknown. Would they emerge unscathed, or would the shadows claim their souls forever? The descent into the abyss felt eternal, time losing its meaning as darkness enveloped them. Nate's heart raced, pounding uncontrollably in his chest, a frantic drumbeat urging him to fight against the void pulling him deeper. It was a raw, primal fear swirling inside him, one he had never felt before. The shadows around them whispered secrets, voices laced with malice, trying to draw them into an eternal morass of despair. "Emma!" he yelled, fear slicing through the air. He could barely see her, just the outline of her terrified visage illuminated by flickering remnants of light. Her fingers clutched his, but he could feel her slipping, the weight of the abyss threatening to tear them apart. I'm here," she shouted back, her voice trembling. "Hold on." They were falling, and he felt the world around them shift, pulling them in different directions as though the darkness was a living thing, hungry and insatiable. The embrace of despair was tightening. Nate gritted his teeth, struggling against the overwhelming force as he focused on Emma's face illuminated by the faint glow of Amelia's shimmering figure above. "Amelia!" he called out, his voice strained, echoing endlessly. "We're coming." Just as he thought they might be swallowed whole, a surge of energy enveloped them. Light erupted from Amelia, a radiant explosion that pushed back the shadows momentarily. They soared upwards as if propelled by her essence, but the specters screamed, their voices a cacophony of fury echoing through the abyss. "You think you can escape?" one howled. "You have no idea of the truth you face." Nate felt a weight in the air, a pressure that clawed at his senses, urging him to look down into the depths below, a swirling mass of darkness and despair with glimmers of tortured souls reaching out to him. "Don't look!" Emma cried out, but he felt his gaze being drawn, an innate curiosity mixed with fear. He saw glimpses of faces he recognized, lost dreams, regrets, people he thought he'd left behind. Each one beckoned him, their mouths moving in silent despair. The sights churned his stomach, and he quickly turned away, his grip on Emma tightening. "Amelia! Show us the way!" he demanded, desperation choking his voice. "We won't abandon you." Amelia's light flickered, wavering as if the shadows were testing her strength. "The truth lies within, you must confront it," she said, her voice resilient yet laced with sadness. "But be warned, what you learn may shatter you." As her words settled in, Nate felt a strange clarity. The shadows recoiled at her will, but their howls grew louder, more dangerous. Nate realized they needed to break free from the hold of the depths. The choice they'd make now would define everything. "Can we face it?" he asked Emma, heart racing with uncertainty. "What if the truth is too much?" Emma's gaze locked with his, fierce determination punctuating their shared fear. "We can't go back. We have to move forward. We need to uncover what binds all of us here, even if it hurts." With a nod, Nate felt their resolve harden. They were not just battling for Amelia, they were fighting for themselves, for every moment they had woven together. As shadows lunged for them once more, he felt an ember of hope ignite within, a flicker that dared to exist amid the encroaching darkness. "Then let us face it together," Nate shouted, their fingers intertwining tightly. In that moment, they hurled themselves toward Amelia, determined to embrace whatever truth awaited them. The shadows clawed and lashed, angered by their defiance, but they pressed on, light and dark intertwined in a spiraling dance of fate. A shimmer broke through the chaos, an opening that beckoned them forward. As they surged ahead, the shadows writhed, twisting and screaming, unwilling to release their grip, and then, just before crossing the threshold into the light, Nate heard a voice whisper just above the din, "You may not survive what you discover." With a final push, they leapt into the brilliance that awaited on the other side. What awaited them there? Would the truth awaken their worst fears or be the key to their salvation? As they vanished into the light, the shadows clung desperately, promising that the true battle had only just begun. What awaited in the realm of truth that lay beyond the light? Would they find hope or heartbreak? The answer lingered just beyond reach. Nate and Emma burst into the light, a sudden warmth enveloping them like the embrace of the sun. They collapsed onto solid ground, gasping for breath. The air here felt different, alive, even as lingering echoes of shadows clawed at the edges of their perception. "Dare to dream, awaken to your truth," a voice rang out, harmonious yet haunting. Nate blinked against the dazzling brightness, shielding his eyes from the blinding rays that danced before him. What lay before them was a vast expanse of clarity and color, as if they had stepped into a painting alive with emotion. Flowers bloomed in riotous colors, laughter echoed in the air like music, and in the distance, a shimmering figure stood waiting beneath a brilliant tree. "Amelia!" Nate shouted, bounding toward her. She stood there, radiant and ethereal, a haunting smile playing on her lips. The heaviness of doubt twisted inside him, a fear he couldn't shake. What truth lay behind her welcoming expression? Emma ran to his side, echoing his hope. "Amelia! We came for you." As they reached her, Amelia's form glimmered, surrounded by a golden light that seemed to encapsulate joy and sorrow alike. "Thank you for coming," she said softly, yet her voice trembled with something deeper. "What happened to you? Are you okay?" Nate asked, anxiety threading through his voice. Amelia hesitated, her gaze dropping to the ground. I'm not truly here," she whispered, each word weighing heavier than the last. "I was drawn into the woods, the memories, the lingering sadness. It kept me bound. The spirits of Willow Creek cling to their grief and allow it to define them." Nate and Emma exchanged glances, fear tightening around them once again. "But we fought through the darkness to save you," Emma protested, a tremor of hope threading her tone. "You didn't just come for me. You came to unearth the truth," Amelia replied, her eyes glistening with an ancient sorrow. "But truth can be a double-edged sword. Are you both ready to face what lies within? To confront the grief that binds us all?" A sense of foreboding fell over Nate. Truth didn't just shine, it could cut. "We don't have a choice," he said firmly. "We need to break this cycle." Amelia nodded slowly. "Then follow me. But remember, what you discover may cause you to question everything." With that, she turned and began to walk, the golden aura shimmering around her. Nate felt a pull in his heart, a rush of memories, torn laughter entwined with shadows, the voices of lost souls yearning for liberation. They followed her to a shimmering portal rippling in the air, pulsating like a heartbeat. Nate's stomach twisted. This was the door to the other side of reality, their reality. The truth awaited, yet a wave of fear washed over him. What would he uncover? But, hand in hand with Emma, he stepped forward. They had come too far. "We're not afraid," he declared, the roar of desperation leaking into his voice. As they entered the light, everything shifted. Shadows morphed around them, revealing scenes etched in haunting brilliance. Visions of the past flooded their minds. The lost children of Willow Creek emerged from the darkness, the merriment of Tommy's laughter, Lydia's ribbons caught in the wind, and the lost family's smiles shimmering against the backdrop of a childhood play. Tears burned in Nate's eyes. "It's all here, our nostalgia, our fears, everything we've ever tried to escape," Emma breathed, clutching his hand tighter. "We have to confront it." Together they walked through waves of memories, echoes of joy mingling with regret. They saw the sorrow that haunted the parents abandoned by searching dreams, the adolescents trapped in a cycle of grief, each face marked by the shadows. "Look!" Amelia pointed to a swirling darkness coiling around one fading image, the family lost to the woods, their outlines shrouded in pain. Nate's heart thudded. "We can help them." The memories trembled as he reached out, but the surge of grief alighted a torrent of whispers. "You can't save us," a disembodied voice echoed, cracking with despair. Why not? Nate shouted. We're here. We want to help. Let us in. Grief is a ghost that binds us. Those who linger here become valiant in their sorrow, the voice replied, bitter and tainted. Each moment spent in this realm dulls our return to the light. Then we let it define us. Emma declared, stepping forward. We run from our past, let us face it together. A moment of silence stretched like tension on a bowstring. A brief flicker of hope ignited within those haunted faces, and for the first time, Nate saw understanding emerge in the shadows. You defy our grief, the voice whispered, growing soft, and through defiance, light can shine into the darkest corners. As the shadowy figures enveloped them, whispers became anguished cries, a mixture of despair and longing. We have to confront our own loss, Nate said, voice steely. Every soul here deserves to know they are not alone. With Emma's grip reassured, the two of them faced the uncertainties together, channeling their courage into a united pulse of energy, reflecting the love that threaded through their past. As their resolute light intertwined with the haunting shadows, all around them began to tremble. Lost mothers, lost laughter, lost lives, they merged, breaking free from the grip of suffering. Nate felt a sudden warmth bloom, spreading through him like a pulse, no longer mere joy or sorrow, but an embrace of life. Let cycles of grief cease, he cried out, emotion pouring from him like a waterfall, flowing into the spirits fluttering around him. And then a wave of understanding surged. Both the sun and the shadows of Willow Creek could coexist. There lay a heart in mourning, but within that heart lay countless memories aligning to create a bond unique to every soul. In that moment, the figures danced and swirled, their anguish tethered to the love that always remained like a lighthouse amidst a storm. Shadows faded, and laughter replaced the cries, the echoes of lives lived in beauty. As the darkness receded, light flooded the landscape of lost souls. They were free. Nate and Emma wrapped Amelia in their embrace, breathing together under skies that once felt heavy with despair. The woods stood still around them, adopting a new identity, a place to cherish rather than fear. Thank you, Amelia whispered, tears shining like rainbows in her eyes. You embraced your truth, and it shattered the chains. We did this together, Nate replied, feeling the warmth of their journey entwined within the fabric of existence itself. With a breath, they turned to take in the sights of Willow Creek anew. The old shadows no longer loomed, the whispers of sorrow transformed into giggles that danced through the trees, painting the air with the vibrancy of love and remembrance. The moment felt whole. It felt like departure and homecoming all at once. They were there together, forever woven into the stories etched in time, destined to carry their truths forward. Let us go home. And as they embraced their togetherness, the light embraced them back, providing warmth against the night. The cycle had broken, and the woods echoed with laughter once more. Now, it's your turn. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support makes all the difference.